What's been, I suppose, what's been happening today? We've just interrupted a mindfulness session.
Yeah.
I think we've just walked in on. What are the boys up to? Is this sort of regular preparation for matches?
Yeah, this is something that we see weekly now. At least once a week, the players will go through a mindfulness session, which can vary, but most of all, it's about freeing the mind. I guess taking them into a relaxed state so they can get back to what works best for them in games, and it's working with professionals on an area that we think is the next big step up in our game. I mean, skills is one thing, game plan's another, but the power of the mind, it's amazing how much more we can learn in that area.
Did you do anything like that back in the day, Nixie?
We did nothing to the level they're doing nowadays. But even some of the stretching and yoga and Pilates, I know it's body, but it was also about mind. We had sessions where we got away and call it meditation back in the day, but it was nowhere near as regular. It was almost like, let's try this for a week, and after 2 weeks it was done. But they're definitely into it at the moment.
It's a normal preparation for an AFL game, I suppose, but the fact that you're doing it this week, I mean, taking AFLX reasonably seriously, treating it as if it is a normal JLT fixture.
Yeah, well, this is our first hit out against opposition that's not within our doors. So we get a chance to weigh ourselves up against what the others are doing. It's small-sided, so 7 aside, but it's still a chance to go up against Adelaide, get a chance against Freo and these sort of sides. We may not get Adelaide, but it'd be nice to maybe come up against them in a granny if we could.
Is the main benefit, I suppose, from your point of view, being able to see what the players can do as opposed to you can't put structures in place that you would usually put in? Is that where you see the main benefit here, what the coaches get out of it? Yeah,
well, look, from our point of view, it's a chance to have a look at some younger guys, but we wanted to keep enough experience in the team so that they weren't thrown out in the deep end. Because what you find is when you get out in the bright lights or what might be anything from 10, 15,000 people, the mind changes things. So some of our younger guys who have been training really well, we'd love to see them in that pressure environment, and there'll be some real pressure on, because it's basically one-on-one on a smaller field. So you want to have some good skills and you want to be able to run.
Anyone in particular to keep an eye on? I've heard Dom Barry's been training the Aston.
Yeah, Dom's name's been thrown out there a lot, and he's trained really well. He's doing some good stuff. Mackenzie will come in, so he's one that he's new with the group. Houston, guys who have played. We're not going super young, but we want to play some guys who could really do with the experience in that pressure environment. So Farrell's one first-year player who's come in, has shown us enough to say, well, look, he warrants a selection in this AFLX. And then we'll play some more senior guys. Jack Watts will play. Robbie will play in the group as well. So we wanted to keep a little bit of experience around them just to steady things.
How does Robbie go as the skipper? He's not exactly the most vocal bloke we see anyway.
Yes, do as I do. I think there'll be a little bit of that with Rob. It's good for him. I think it's great to sort of come out of his comfort zone. You wouldn't say that he's a natural talker, but he definitely leads by example.
So it's a good chance for him to take on that role a little bit more. Is that kind of what he can get out of this?
Yeah. For Robbie, it's a different challenge, isn't it? It's like, we know what Rob can do with his footy. This was an opportunity that we wanted to get some work into him. We wanted him to get some high intensity training in. This worked perfectly. Plus the leadership side of things gave him another opportunity to work on that area.
As far as speed and skill, what kind of speed versus skill? What do you guess? I guess do you value more in the AFLX side of things? Have you been able to pinpoint that yet?
Oh, look, it's the same as AFL. I mean, you've got to have skill. You can be super fast and run, but not be able to catch a ball. Well, you're not going to do much in that game. So you've got to be able to use it by foot, by hand. Be clean with the football, because I can imagine it's going to be a really fast game. But there's also the endurance part of it. It's only 10-minute halves, but it's amazing how after sort of 7 or 8 minutes of continuous back and forth, players get tired. So the guys who've got big engines will show up.
Is there a match simulation, like a rectangle, oval, or court, or whatever you call it, and like proper match conditions? Have you practiced?
We've practiced AFLX as close as we can get it. So we 120 by 70 the field. We try to match Hindmarsh Stadium. Was that the question? We're laughing at it.
You got the question was halfway through it.
Nixie, has it been hard sort of balancing how much you train for AFLX and how much you still do regular training? Obviously knowing that round one is the goal.
Not really, no, because your small-sided games are what you do through pre-season anyway. So a 7-a-side or a 7v8, that's the sort of things we like to put our players in those scenarios and ask them to work through it. We rarely play just 7-on-7 because obviously there's not that opportunity where where's the outnumber, but we've played at least once a week. We've had some AFLX games. We've challenged the boys on if you want to be selected, like show us that you've got what it takes, and so some of our selections have been picked on guys who have shown they're good enough to play the game, and we think we'll have a reasonably strong siding.
You reckon you would have liked to have seen, you spoke about 7-on-8, you would like to see like a power play where a team could have set, like say 8-on-7 for 5 minutes of the game? Yeah,
now we're talking. It'd be interesting. It's going to be really interesting how it plays out. I've seen some of the squads that have come out, and there's some teams playing quite large, some teams playing runners. So, what will come out and win it in the end, we don't know. So that'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Is there a sense that for the players, the competition for spots really starts straight away now? They can actually prove themselves, even though it is a hybrid game.
Well, we play the next week, so the Sunday of the next week we're into JLT, and we only played 2 JLT this year. So I guess once you've got that possession, 9/10 of the law, we're in. That's what we talk to the players about. We'll play a strong side through JLT, with it being only 2 games. So some of these guys who are knocking on the door will be playing AFLX, and it'll be an opportunity to stand up.
Guys like Powell Pepper and Ollie Wines who aren't playing, is that simply because they're more like contested players and probably don't fit the bill for this sort of game?
Yes and no. I think where those two are at as well, it wasn't a game where we needed to see them in this game. We saw both play really well in our intra-club on Saturday. So from a performance point of view and what they've been able to put on the field to this point, we've been really happy with where they're at.
We've got a couple of the injured boys. Nixie, Brogsy again, can't shake it, can he?
Yeah, it's disappointing for Brogsy. So he's had surgery. We don't know. We know it went well, but how well we'll find out over the next few days. That's a tough one because he's worked so hard. But I know he's a really strong character, so he'll be right. He'll come back and we'll see him again soon. But other than Brogsy, we've got guys who have got some small niggles, but nothing major that's holding them out at the moment.
Polly, that was just a sort of, if it was AFL season, say have a fortnight off.
Yeah, Polly's one where there's several that didn't play intra-club, like Charlie, Polly, that we're scheduling to come back during JLT, so we're really keen for them to be right for round 1. It's not cotton wool, but there's a little bit of a management so that we don't push them too early and blow them out before the season starts.
With AFLX as a final wrap-up, everyone's talking about runners and good kickers would be really good at this game, but someone like a Todd Marshall who's got a great motor and agile and a great set of hands, how important do you think he might be tomorrow?
Yeah, well, very important. And he showed in our intra-club that he's got some jukes, he's got skills and smarts. He's a very smart footballer, so he's almost the perfect mould. If that's what we think at the moment, without seeing the game play out, and we'll find out, I guess, tomorrow night. How well he goes in it, but he's been really, really strong over this pre-season, so he deserves to have a look and give himself an opportunity. And again, it's all leading towards that round 1, so hopefully he stands up.
Well, not just AFLX, but he's really building towards sort of another strong season after coming on late last year. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, very much so. When you start to put together your first 6 or 7 forwards, he's very much up there in that group. If everyone's up and fit and going, it's a tough group to get into. You've got the likes of Dixon and Robbie Gray and Jack Watts. So for Marshall, it's a tough gig, but he's playing really well at the moment.
What do you think of Watts, as in positionally? Is he definitely forward, or can he do a few different things as well?
Well, he's a ball user, so we want to get him where the ball is. So there'll be different spots we look at. We definitely haven't locked him in as a forward. And nowadays, there's different roles within your team that aren't necessarily class forward or mid. Not saying we'll put him on ball next to Ollie Wines, but we'd love to have his ball use through the middle of the ground at times. So it's something we'll look at.